The agenda, please.
Commission will now take up the matter of an application for a malt beverage and wine, or either one, for a special one-day license. The applicant is Joseph Bew, and it's for an event scheduled for Sunday, March the 11th, 2007, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. The event is the Heinz Road Race, with the beer concession to be in the parking lot of Heinz's Tavern, located at 465-467 Gorham Street.
So, introduce yourself, please. Okay, Joe, you've been before us before. Okay. Have we had any problems, Captain Taylor? We had any problems with Heinz's Road Race that you're aware of? Nothing that I'm aware of.
This is
Anything?
your fourth year? How many years have you had this?
This is the first year without a road race. We've had the ball for
Oh, okay, okay. No, I have no problem with it, thanks.
Yeah, make a motion to approve.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
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 You're all set?
Thank you.
You're not gonna have any outdoor music or anything? It's just gonna be like a right yes, right no? No light, okay, thank you. Next.
Commission will now take up the application for a hawker and peddler license for fruits and vegetables, John McLaughlin.
Is John here? Next.
Commission will now open up the hearing on an application for a malt beverage and wine restaurant license from Devon Nocum and Fen Nopcom, doing business as Fen's Kitchen, for a malt beverage and wine restaurant license for premises at 586 Westford Street, there being an unnumbered door on the south side of the building. The first floor is a dining room, a kitchen area, the basement for storage. This application requires that abutters be notified, that is, the property owners touching, and that Fen Nocum is presently licensed as a common victualler.
Introduce yourself for the record, please. And you? Turn your mic on and speak into the mic, make sure the light's on. Dave? And you're her husband, okay. That's a good reason to be here. Okay. Okay, this is the old Babola's, Westford Street, okay. They have, did we get the green cards back? We didn't get any green
Mr.
cards?
Chairman, they did the mailing in a timely manner. They have an affidavit to that effect, but there are no return receipts to this point in time. There's three property owners.
Can we do this without getting the cards back? Can we hear the case without getting the cards back?
Yeah, sometimes they never come back, right?
Really? Well, one's right next door. It's just, one is a beauty shop, isn't it?
Mr. Chairman,
Review
this
shop,
particular applicant, the partnership, had originally applied 2 years ago, or less than 2 years ago. And the license had been granted to the same partnership. But I think it was in the beginning of 2006, it was decided that they were not going to take the license for last year. And so apparently circumstances are changed, so they're now have reapplied. But to answer the question about return receipts, it's not uncommon for there not to be return receipts in this situation.
Did we do a query? Captain Taylor, we did? No, clean? Okay. I know that you had had it before, so I don't think there's a whole lot of questions there. Anything, Mike?
Now, where's this restaurant?
This is right around the corner on, right across from the Marlboro Street variety store where the Big Belly Deli used to be.
Oh, okay.
Prior to that. It's always been a little restaurant.
Okay. And is that your sister that you're a partnership with? Your mom, okay. And you're going to be both running the business? And it's going to be mostly consisting of food? All right. Not going to be any nightclub activity or just food? All right. Have you had any experience in the restaurant business before? What is it? Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. And did that deal with serving alcohol and the alcohol issues? Okay. How many further questions at this point?
Mr. Finnegan,
No questions.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
You're all set.
Good luck.
Good luck with it. I drive by there, I'll be watching you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
This matter does require the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission also grant approval for the beer and
To
wine
Boston.
license. And it's not uncommon for issues such as the Department of Revenue
Right.
to arise at the time the matter is before the ABC, and that could delay the approval for an extended period of time.
Okay, you understand what he said? You've got the license, but you've only got it approved locally. It now goes to Boston. Boston will review the license. They go to DOR on everything today.
Did you open it up to the public? You had to open it up to the public?
Did we have to? No.
Sorry?
Did we, the question was,
Open up to the public?
did we have to, were we obligated to open this to the public? For a public hearing on this?
Yes,
We were,
it's,
okay.
if there were to be any comments
All right.
by the
Well,
public, yes, that's.
Okay, let's go about this then backwards. If anybody here to speak in opposition to that license, my apologies to the audience. Anybody in opposition? In opposition, okay, the vote stands as taken. You understand that this goes to Boston. They're gonna look at your meals tax and all of those things, issues before, they'll give us a ruling, okay? Thank you. Sorry about that. Next one.
Could we just ask that when you come up to the podium, that you stand right at the podium, please? Speak into the microphone and make sure the microphone is on when you're speaking. Thanks.
Commission will now open the hearing on the application for the malt beverage and wine restaurant license from All of That and More LLC, Matthew R. Mason, manager, for a malt beverage and wine restaurant license for premises at 167 Market Street, two unnumbered doors, first floor approximately 1,650 square feet, for a combination of retail space and restaurant. There's a storage room in the rear of the first floor. There is also sidewalk cafe, frontage for the sidewalk seating, per a license agreement authorized by the city manager on June 29, 2005. The application also includes a common vittler license. Mr. Chairman, just for the record, for purposes of notification to abutters, the applicant had sent out a number of notices of the notice that had been published in the local newspaper on January 12th. There are approximately 50-plus property owners, most of whom are members of a condo association. Mr. Chairman, as far as the legal, when it was published, I come to find out after the publication that the matter of a sidewalk seating plan had not been included as far as the description is concerned. So it is within the Commission's licensing board's authority as to whether to proceed or to take this matter under advisement and continue it.
Thank you. Introduce yourself for the record, please. Is that on?
No, and I don't see a button either.
It is now.
Okay.
got you.
Matthew Mason from All of That and More.
Okay. Did we do it, Corey? We did? Everything in order? Okay. When you first started that, you were selling wine, weren't you?
Correct. I was doing beer and wine sales as a package store. So did that for the first 2 years. Now would like to switch over to serving it.
So now you're gonna do away with that?
Yeah, you can't do both from what I understand.
Okay. You have any experience in the serving end of it?
Correct. Actually, I did attend ServSafe courses a number of years ago, and 2 of my employees are actually part-time bartenders and/or recently part-time bartenders. So the staff actually has a very good working knowledge of, serving under.
What's your hours of operation?
Currently, it's Monday through Friday, 8 to 7, Saturday, 8 to 6, and Monday, 9 to 2. I do anticipate extending some hours slightly, probably Thursday, Friday, Saturday until 10 initially. trying to increase my afternoon.
So Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you're gonna go 8 to 10?
Correct.
You're gonna, now, you're gonna go 8 to 10, but you're gonna serve food. You're gonna stay
Correct.
open.
Yep.
But your primary business in the evening is gonna be dinner.
Correct. My primary business is always going to be food. I mean, what I'm trying to do is add on and enhance what I'm doing. I've had a number of people request glasses of wine, glasses of beer. It is by no means going to be a bar room at all. There's no bars per se. There's no bar
Jukebox,
seating.
no-
Yeah, it's
no.
you know, when I describe it, I tend to describe it as a cafe.
Okay.
So I mean, it's all sit down cafe type seating, and no bar stools or anything like that.
Okay. Commissioner Finnegan.
I have nothing, no, I've been in, it's a great spot, great
It's
location.
good food.
The food's terrific, and I think it's a great idea.
Commissioner Gary.
I don't have any questions on it. I'll make a motion to approve it, along with the sidewalk.
Area. Okay. Okay. Right, to the abutters, okay? Let's talk, for some reason, we're not getting on the right page today here. Anybody to speak in opposition to this license? Yes, come right up if you would, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Wyman. I'm a resident of 181 Market Street. Been a resident of Lowell most of my life. The concern that I would like to express today and have go on record for the commissioners to consider is public safety. Public safety is one of the predominant criteria of which you're supposed to take under judgment in issuing any permits, licenses. I'd like to bring to your attention, in the neighborhood, within the last 18 months, we've had an early morning beating of an elderly individual, an employee of Enterprise Bank and Trust, fellow that's well-known in the neighborhood for his early morning walks. That occurred approximately between 5 and 5:30 in the morning. The police department has apprehended the alleged offenders. I believe that's going through the court system right now. But one of the people charged was an employee of Athenian Corner, and they were enjoying alcohol beverages until 4 or 5 in the morning. I'd also like you to consider the incident of a recent stabbing. An individual was found in the parking lot of Enterprise Bank and Trust. It was police traced the incident back to the Dubliner. Dubliner has come under new ownership within the last year, and I would ask for you to consider and talk to the police and look at the incidents, number of called-in incidents to that establishment since the new ownership has taken over. There has been a tremendous increase in excessive noise and quality of life on Market Street, to the detriment, quite frankly, of residents. What used to be a pretty common call to the police station on Thursday evenings at closing time for the Blue Shamrock has now turned into a 7-day-a-week affair. At closing time, noise, the police are down there constantly. If you don't have frame of mind to approve Mr. Mason's, to deny Mr. Mason's request for license, I would at least ask you to consider some controls in the hours of operation, the location of sidewalk table seating outside of residents' windows, and how is he going to consider the quality of life to residents that have made a significant investment downtown. Entertainment, don't know if this comes under your purview, but I can see this thing evolving into karaoke nights, open mic nights, Super Bowl Sunday nights, and whatever. So I'd like to finish my comments with just summarizing by, please consider public safety for the residents that have made a significant investment, and if not, please implement some controls. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition. That portion of the hearing is closed. Anyone to speak in favor? In favor? Yes. Identify yourself, please.
Bob Perret Photography. I own a small photography studio operated at 177 Market Street. All of that and more is located 2 doors down from my establishment. I wanted to come down in support of, in favor of the license for Matthew and his wife Tracy for all of that and more. I think it would be a significant contribution to help revitalize the downtown area. I understand that we share the space with residents, but we as small businesses are trying to do everything that we can to revitalize the downtown area and turn it into a destination. I think allowing all of that and more to be able to serve alcoholic beverages would be a major plus, particularly the cafe-style seating that will help folks to stay in the downtown area and perhaps visit some of the establishments and spend some money in Lowell. So I think all of these things are going to be good. And I just wanted to go on record as saying that as a small business owner, only 2 doors down, I think it would be a wise thing for you to approve this license.
Thank you. Anybody else speak in favor?
My name is Stephen Green, and I'm going to speak in two capacities. I'm a resident at 181 Market Street, so I'm a direct abutter to the facility. I'm also chairman of the trustee board for the condominium association. And let me speak in that capacity first. We voted conditional approval of this license. We do find that all of that and more is a well-run establishment, but we do have concerns, and Brian Wyman expressed those concerns very eloquently with the issue of liquor licenses and lots of problems in the area. The 2 conditions that we have, 3 conditions that we have, is there will be no entertainment. The hours of operation will be as currently established, which are a little bit different than what we just heard now, because it was a 7 o'clock closing time and 6 and then 2 o'clock on Sundays. So the 10 o'clock, we get a little bit nervous as the hours get later in the day, especially on the weekends. And then the third condition is that they establish a recycling program. And you'll probably say this is not in your purview, but they're also, in their application, said that they're in compliance with the laws of the Commonwealth and having a recycling program for a commercial establishment, avoiding the Massachusetts waste bans. And this is something that should be almost on any license, is something that they should be in compliance with, which they currently are not. So with that, I would like to say, yes, support them with those 3 conditions. No entertainment, restricted hours of operation in the recycling. And then, as an individual, I just want to say that I do support them. I think that all of that and more, as a establishment, has done a good job. They are an asset. Having beer and wine is good for them in their meal service. But again, the same conditions. No entertainment, no excessive, no long hours, and the recycling. Thank you.
Thank you.
And do you want, I don't know if you want the written copies.
Certainly. You can give them to the secretary. Anybody else to speak in favor? In favor?
My name is Philippe Jean-Jean. I am a resident of 181 Market Street. My apartment is overlooking Market Street. I am for the granting of the license. I think it would be a great addition to the downtown Lowell, the style cafe, and with the serving of beer and wine will be great. However, I would like to express also my concern on the noise. My main concern would be on the noise on Thursday night. I think I am concerned that there might be entertainment, there might be music. Brian mentioned karaoke night. On Friday or Saturday I have no problem, but on Thursday night, for instance, tomorrow morning I need to get up at 3 a.m. to drive to New York City. And obviously Thursday night I would like some restriction on that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else to speak in favor? And speak in favor? In favor. That portion of the hearing is closed. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Just one comment on
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, just one comment on one of the gentlemen that just spoke regarding hours. For purposes of state law and the way in which state law is defined, hours of operation as far as sale and service of alcohol beverages. The licensing authorities in the cities and towns in Massachusetts that do grant licenses for alcohol beverages cannot control the hours from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. That is to say that the hours after 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. are subject to local board control. The hours from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. are subject to local board control. But any hours between 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. By statute rights to the
Controlled by the
licensee.
Are controlled by the state. Do you understand what he's
No,
saying?
no, Mr. Chairman, it's, state law is such that the licensee has the privilege of
Right.
serving from 11 to 11.
11, right,
He said his place was gonna be open to 10.
to 10.
Yeah.
Okay, just to try to answer just a few of your I don't know about the recycling, that I guess I'm at a loss at, but that being said, he's already said he's going to close at 10. He's already said he's not going to have any entertainment. I've been to the place myself also, and I think he runs a really nice place. I think we need places like that in the downtown area. You know, it's unfortunate that somebody got stabbed in Enterprise parking lot, and it's also unfortunate that somebody, you know, certainly, you know, got beat up or whatever, but, you know, we can't hold this guy responsible or you know, in generalities, just shut down the downtown area. You moved into a downtown area. You know, first of all, we have to understand that we've moved into a business zoned area, and you know, certainly I don't think somebody that's going to serve sandwiches and a glass of wine or a glass of beer is going to contribute to the noise volume. That being said, you know, we meet here twice a month on Thursdays. Okay, the only way we can control things is either you pick up the telephone and call the office, drop the secretary a note and say, this is what's happening, or call the police department. The police department's not going to go running to the store owner and say, you know, Freddie, Joe Banana over here called us and complained about you. They're not going to do that. The police department's going to appreciate the fact that you as a concerned citizen picks up the telephone and lets us know what's going on, because most of the time, the very person that would not try to help by doing that is the first one that would call the newspaper with a story or something, because they're too much of a weasel to stand up, okay? So we all have to take our responsibility for ourselves, and I appreciate this gentleman coming in. He has some valid points, because this commission, it has taken a look at some of these places that have said they just wanted to have a restaurant and and then all of a sudden it gets carried away and they start supplying entertainment and they go overboard. And it's hard to make folks understand that, the police can't be in every single place in downtown Lowell. The License Commission is not our job to go out and investigate. It's up to you to take responsibility for your environment and let us know what's going on. And if you let us know what's going on, I'm sure I can speak for the other two commissioners and myself and guarantee you that we'll do something about it. You can take that to the bank. If you watch our meetings, you can take that to the bank. We don't sit here and take this job lightly. We're here to help you. But we're also here to protect the businessman. He deserves, because something happens right away. I always thought the biggest fallacy was you go to court and the judge says, where did you have your last drink? Okay? And we try to tell people this all the time. Because if you had your last drink at your best friend's bar, guess what? Do you really think that person's going to stand up and say, oh, I was at Harry's bar. He's my good friend, that's where I was drinking. No, he's not. He's going to tell him some other place. And so we're going to get a letter saying that so-and-so's bar was named. It's tough. But if we got somebody that lives there and they pick up the phone and they call the police and say, hey, this guy was supposed to have a cafe, a sandwich shop with a cup. They're clinking the glasses a little loud. You can hear them 5 stores down. Believe me, somebody's going to go over and see what's going on. Okay? So I appreciate your concern, sir, and you can rest assured. As far as the environmental thing, you got to talk to him, unless you know anything about that.
I don't think that's anything we can get involved
I don't think it's anything that we have any rights over. Environmental things.
We cannot impose a state law, another state law or regulation on our granting of a license. We can't do it.
No.
It's like us saying, we agree to get the license as long as you will do A, B, and C, which is a separate law. We can't do that that's to be enforced by
I'm
that
sure if you
agency.
talk to him about it, I mean, he runs a good place,
Yeah.
a nice place. I've been in there with my wife, and I mean, I don't think he's gonna go crazy all of a sudden. He used to sell beer and wine, okay? I mean, you couldn't drink it on the premises. But I think if you went in there and said, look, you know, can you do, I can't see him not cooperating. He doesn't impress me as that type of individual, okay? And I appreciate your concern, and hopefully you can work that out with him. Anything else?
Nope.
Anything you got?
I'm going to in favor of the application as it was presented. There was no request for an entertainment license, so really shouldn't be addressed. The hours of operation aren't within our purview, the hours that he says he's going to state that are open. If he opens to 1 o'clock, and then he's going to have an issue because that's not what he's requested to do, and that's not what he said he was going to do. In its terms of, obeying state law, you have to pay your taxes, but I'm not going to make that a condition of his license. So that's not, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to make a motion to approve it as it was applied for.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
I don't know if the people that spoke, both sides of this,
There you.
if they're going to be here for the subsequent hearings, but just for the commission can make them aware that we have a disciplinary hearing today against the Dubliner restaurant. So, because that was mentioned as related to
Have
this.
a disciplinary on this fella?
No, but one of the witnesses spoke specifically about issues in the general area. and
Oh,
named-
okay.
And indicated that he had a problem with some patrons leaving the Dubliner.
Oh.
Just wanted to make them aware there is a hearing today, disciplinary hearing against
Okay.
that. And
All right.
the other thing I'll just mention is that we have several initiatives in the downtown area from the police department perspective that we are, the new superintendent, acting superintendent has initiated to try and curtail some of the late-night activity down there. One of them was a recent initiative with the state police working cooperatively together. We have more of those planned in the very recent future coming up, and we will continue that, so just to make them aware of that.
No, I mean, it always boils down to the fact that it's the old joke about where's the policeman when you need one? They can't be everywhere. We can't possibly, the taxpayers in Lowell can't possibly afford to have a policeman standing on every corner in every bar in every bath throughout the city of Lowell to make sure nobody, okay? It's a simple thing of taking responsibility of picking up the telephone. They don't trace your number. They don't go off. Just let us know. We have next week I will bring in the crime. I don't know the Crime Stoppers number. I'm sorry that I don't. I apologize for that. But I'm going to stop putting that on the air. Next.
Just one thing, I just want to make a part of the record, the letter that Mr. Green has submitted on behalf of the condo association. If you could put that in the file,
Do
Ryan.
you have one, Ryan? One of these? Yeah, he has one.
So just to underscore the matter, Mr. Chairman, this application has been approved without condition.
Right.
And that is subject to the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission approval as far as the beer and wine sale and service on the premises.
Right. Next on the agenda. Middlesex Street, where? Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the next matter before the License Commission is an application by USA Auto Sales, Inc. Danielle Corolano is president. She's president, sole officer, director, and shareholder for a second-hand motor vehicles license, Class 2, a used car dealer, for premises at 607 Middlesex Street, the lot being approximately 14,535 square feet, with office trailer, 12 feet by 24 feet. In year 2006, a licensee by the name of Fernando P. Damota, doing business as USA Auto Center, license number 696-B. And that, to this point in time, Mr. Damota has not applied for a renewal of that license. Also, previously, the Zoning Board of Appeals had granted a special permit for this type of business use, with a maximum number of vehicles being 27 for storage on the open lot. Also, Mr. Chairman, I just, for purposes of the record, the Registry of Motor Vehicles Dealer Repair Section had called the License Commission office yesterday inquiring about the status of Mr. Fernando D'Amoto. Mr. D'Amoto apparently has appeared on the radar screen of the registry in terms of his dealer plate, or apparently he still has an outstanding dealer plate. It's still active, and they're very much interested in putting a cancellation on that, requesting of the License Commission office a communication to the effect that Mr. D'Amoto was no longer licensed in the city of Lowell. I pointed out to the person I spoke with on the phone from the registry that the matter of a new license application was before the License Commission at meeting scheduled for this afternoon.
Okay, introduce yourself for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Danielle Corriolano. I'm buying from Fernando, USA. I actually already bought it from him, USA Auto Sales. Before he had a DBA, I bought and I opened an incorporation. I own a dealer before in Somerville Ave Auto Brokers. I already returned to Mr. D'Amoto, Fernando. I returned the plates to him when he came from Florida. That was about 3 months ago, so I didn't even know that, because he was supposed to return the plates to the RMV, because I'm not interested in apply for a repair plate in the city of Lowell, because I have an auto repair in another city, so. What else would I say?
Okay, so you're saying that he has the plate.
Yeah, I returned to him. That's his plates. I don't have a right to operate under that plate, you know.
How many used, excuse me, how many used car lots do you own?
How many used cars?
How many, you said you have.
I had the Somerville Avenue Auto Brokers. I sold it. First, I had Somerville and the USA. Let's say I bought and I came here to work with Fernando. I really disagree with the way that he was doing business, because I think before you sell cars, I came from a foreign country. I'm from Brazil. I think before you sell cars, you need to understand about the law, okay? And whatever he was doing was really, he wasn't following the laws. So I couldn't do a partnership with him. My business in Somerville, if you're gonna check, you're not gonna see any complaints or any problems. So Fernando went to Florida. I already paid him. I paid him $120,000. Just want to get the license under my name, because he has nothing else to do with the business.
Is there a copy?
And I sold the other one in Somerville.
Is there a copy of the sale in there?
I don't think so.
Do you have a copy or a receipt or the bill of sale to prove that you bought it from him?
So you sold that other car lot, you don't have one right now?
No, because when I came to the city of Lowell, I had no idea that I could I had no idea that we could sell too many cars, because that city has a wonderful potential, you know, and I really want to put all my energy, and I want to put the money that I sold my dealer into USA Auto Sales, because I think it's gonna be better. And I bought a house in Lowell, so it's only like 5 minutes walking from the dealer.
So when did you buy this dealership from Fernando?
December.
In the summer?
December.
December.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's when I
Past-
gave him the plates.
Okay.
So do you have a copy of that bill of sales
Yes.
saying that you bought him out?
I have a
You can bring it
paper,
up.
but I have more papers with my lawyer in case if you need.
What do you think? Who's the least?
But I came to the business before December because it was like too many stuffs that I had to check, like a lease agreement, because that is a big lot. I wanted to make sure that Ms. Amelo is gonna let me have a 2 years lease, what I got from him.
Now, it says all the cars on the lot, too. Did you get the titles transferred to your corporation?
What kind of titles?
On the cars, it says as part of the sale was
How
all
many
the
cars?
cars.
He didn't give me any car. I bought on the license, not the
It
cars.
says
He
that,
didn't
yeah.
have any cars. Like at the moment, the
Yeah.
cars, they are all mine. They are all to USA. They are all, at this point, Danielle's car, I mean.
So you don't own the land,
I'm sorry?
you don't own the land, you rent the land,
I rent the land, yes.
and you didn't get any cars from him.
I'm sorry?
You didn't get any cars from him.
From Fernando?
Right.
That came with the cars, but I would say it's a different line of cars that I work. I remember that we had 2000 Hyundai, it was like old cars that he got as a trade-in. And the line of cars that I try to work are like 2003 Toyotas, Mercedes.
Yeah, but when you bought the business from this gentleman, included in that business, you bought his goodwill, the license, I assume, and any used cars. Did you buy any cars along with that?
That came with the 5 or 6 cars.
5 or 6 cars?
Yeah.
And what'd you say you paid for it?
For the car, for 120.
120,000?
Uh-huh.
Okay, do you have a bill of sale list? This
My-
affidavit that you just gave to Mr. Bayless is like an agreement for him to
Yeah,
sell to you.
I have all the papers with my lawyer. I mean, I can bring to you and show you.
Okay,
We're gonna
I'd like to see not only
Probably gonna
the,
need to see the bill
the
of
bill of
sale
sale,
and-
but-
and copies of checks that were
That's right.
exchanged
He
and
did
the
a-
whole financial transaction of it.
He did, because I didn't pay everything on cash, so I'll say December was when I made the last payment.
You gave him 120,000 in cash?
No, I don't have that much money. Come on, I'm only 29.
Okay.
Well, we have to see all the
But I already did
financial,
everything,
all the financial
Transaction
situation.
I did with
In the
him.
wrong
Okay.
business.
the bank records, plus copies of the bank checks or however you paid him.
Okay.
You got it.
Can I go there?
Yeah.
We could put it on for the next meeting?
Can you get these things for us for the next meeting? Okay.
We'll just continue this, all
Thank
right?
you. Yeah. Motion to continue? Motion to continue.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
To the next meeting, which is what?
Mr. Chairman, the next scheduled meeting is the date of February the 8th, 3 p.m. on a Thursday.
So February the 8th at 3 p.m.
The-
Okay?
Now, if you could get it up to Ryan earlier,
I'll bring it to him tomorrow.
all right.
Now, in regards to the comment I had made regards to the registry calling in regards to Mr. Demoto,
Well, do you want a motion to cancel? He didn't,
You didn't renew it?
see, he didn't renew, so he really couldn't come in and get it if he wanted.
so as far as the board is concerned, is the question, I guess, is in my mind, is whether the board would want to consider not allowing for the renewal of the license at this point in time? Or could he conceivably, if the applicant before you today, for some reason cannot present suitable, satisfactory documentation, and he comes back to say, well, I'm going to
Yeah,
repurchase or buy back from her for $120,000.
Make a motion, we cancel his license. Okay? I'll make a motion, we cancel his license, so that the plate gets canceled.
Should I go to the registry and explain to them that he's the one that got the, because he has the plates at this moment. He owns and he has it.
Yeah, you don't want him having that plate.
Yeah,
So
I'm
we're
afraid
gonna
he's
make a
gonna do
motion to
something.
You
cancel.
can't do that.
I'm afraid he's gonna do some, he's probably,
So,
No.
so just to satisfy
For
the
the record.
to satisfy the registry, as far as
Motion
the licensing
made to
board is
cancel
concerned, there
his
is no
license.
renewal of his license. And that if the registry
It was
wants to
seconded.
pursue his plates, they have
Every
the
right
wherewithal to do so.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay?
Yep.
Yep, second?
Yep.
All in favor, yes? Yes. No, you don't need to go to the registry, because they'll go through the office.
All right.
They know, they're looking for the plate now. What we did was we just prevented him, you can't have a plate unless you have a licensed car lot. So now he doesn't have, that's resolved, okay?
Okay.
So if you can get your papers together, okay, the bill of sale and everything, and bring it into the secretary, I'm
I'll
sure
do
he'd
it
be
tomorrow.
delighted to work with you on it.
All the bank records that show.
Where that money
The
came
transaction.
from.
Okay.
Okay?
No problem.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna have to, Mr. Secretary, I'm gonna have to recuse myself from this one, okay? And,
Commissioner Geary, Commissioner Finnegan, the next matter before you is the hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Kenneth LaValle, the acting superintendent of police, against licensee Tyler Perry Corp., doing business as the Dubliner, Lorraine Lucier, manager of record, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 197 Market Street. For the record, Chairman Bayless has recused himself from this matter.
Counsel, could you just identify yourself for the record, please?
I will, members of the commission. My name is John Hardigan. I'm a lawyer in Lowell, and I represent Tyler Perry Corp. With me this afternoon is Mr. Economo and Lauren Lucier, who are the principals. Mrs. Lucier is the manager of record. Also with me this afternoon is Jason Keys, who is an employee of the corporation and the assistant manager of the location.
Thank you, Counsel. Counsel, you received the complaint involved in this matter?
I did.
Not accepting any of the facts, naturally. We just waive the reading of the complaint
I will.
into the record? Okay. Briefly tell us what happened and who we have here to testify on
Thank you.
behalf.
Captain Taylor from the Police Department. We have two police officers present that can testify as to the actions on December 8th and December 9th, 2006. In the first instance, there was an assault that took place initially inside the Dubliner, and then it's the position of the police department that the Dubliner did not call the police department as a result of this disturbance inside, effectively ejected the involved parties. What happened at that point was that led to a continuance of this disturbance, and a person was assaulted on Middle Street. An individual was assaulted. Officer Boutsalis is here. He can testify to the commission as to his investigation in this case. The person sustained substantial injuries in the continued assault that started in the club and continued on Middle Street. I think the important thing in that incident is that we were not called, and as a result of the police not being notified and not taking action initially, the disturbance continued onto Middle Street and somebody was injured. The next evening on December 9th, I have Officer, and I'm going to try this, Papa Constantino? Okay, good, thank you. Officer Papa Constantino is here. He can testify about a large disturbance that occurred on the next night, December 9th, inside and outside the establishment. And the important thing in this is that his observations were that a person that was arrested for punching a hole in the window of the establishment when he was taken out, I think, by the police, was very intoxicated, and also that his observations were that numerous patrons inside the establishment were, in his opinion, extremely intoxicated. So the issue was obviously over-serving in this case. And on December 9th, according to my information, there's no information that the establishment called to report that disturbance either. We believe it's our position that it was neighbors.
It was
Neighbors.
Was he there as a detail officer?
No, I believe he responded as on patrol. Yes. So if the wishes of the commission, we can have the officers read their reports or give testimony.
Dave, you got a second, come on.
Thank you.
Why don't we take the first one, hear from the officer?
Officer Putsellus?
Mr. Hardigan, would you just slide over and let him use the podium? Thank you.
Afternoon. My name is John Butzelis. I'm a police officer of the city of Lowell. I've worked as a police officer for 20 years. I'm currently assigned to the late night shift, the third shift, starting at 1 a.m., working till 9 a.m. My patrol area is the downtown area of the city. On this particular night, the 8th of December, I was coming out of roll call to the police station. It was approximately 1 o'clock in the morning. Shortly thereafter, I received a dispatch regarding a fight on Middle Street in the Enterprise Bank parking lot. As I was responding to that area, dispatch updated and stated that the victim of that fight was on his way with his friends to Saints Memorial Hospital. I then responded up to the hospital. I met the victim up there. I believe his name was Mr. Joyce. He was being treated in the emergency room. He had several large, deep cuts on his face and his head. I spoke to him. He was intoxicated. He stated that he was involved in an altercation sometime earlier in the evening at the Dubliner bar. The altercation turned into a fist fight. The fist fight was broke up by the bar staff. He and his friends, along with the other parties they were fighting with, were ejected from the bar, thrown out of the bar. And the way he described it is one group went down Market Street towards Palmer Street, and I believe it was his group went up Shattuck Street towards Middle Street. And I don't know whether it was planned or not, but they ultimately met at the Enterprise parking lot, Enterprise Bank parking lot, where their cars were parked. The victim stated that whatever had their initial argument was about was rekindled in the parking lot. It turned immediately to a fist fight, at which time subsequently Mr. Joyce was knocked down and, in his own words, stomped in the head by one or more members of the opposing group. The opposing group then fled by car. I believe it was a red Toyota RAV4. He had a partial plate on the car. So his two friends who were with him up at the hospital, Mr. Jones and Mr. McKenzie, their retelling of the incident was very similar to the victims. I then went down to the Dubliner after I left the hospital and spoke to Mr. Keys, who was stated he was the manager that evening. He did recall the early altercation. He stated that someone who he described as similar in appearance to the actual victim had started the altercation in the bar by insulting a woman or doing something to a woman in the bar, started the fight, and all parties were thrown out. He also stated he may have seen the other party, the actual party aggressor, assailant party, later They had come to that bar before, and he knew them to be from Dracut. There was a subsequent investigation by the Criminal Bureau to determine identification of the suspects, and identification was not able to be made after the incident.
How did he tell you the altercation started, and what did he tell you the altercation included?
How did who, sir?
The manager for this Dubliner.
I believe, and if I may refer to my report.
Sure.
I could read it to you, actually, what he said. I spoke to the manager of the Dubliner, Jason Keys, who stated that he insisted in breaking up the fight at the bar. He stated the suspects were known to him as being from Dracut and frequented the Avenue Bar on Lakeview Avenue. He also stated that the victim, who he described as the bald guy with the blue sweatshirt, started the fight in the bar by insulting a female and throwing the first punch in the subsequent fight. Also, there was no officer on detail in the Dubliner, and I asked there was no video surveillance system installed inside the bar.
Okay. The fight on Middle Street, and I know it took place later on, but do we know who made the call to the station to report that?
I was not, the call went to the dispatch. It was given to me from the dispatch as the friends of the victim were the ones who called it in.
Okay.
And these were the two gentlemen that were up at the hospital that transported the victim from Middle Street to the hospital in their own car. They didn't wait. We had an ambulance on the way. We had cruisers on the way. Nobody waited for us. When our guys got to the area, those guys were already gone.
And do you know how much time passed between the fight in the Dubliner and the fight on Middle Street, approximately?
I don't know, sir.
Okay.
I was just starting my shift right at 1 o'clock. I was coming out of roll call, so.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, council might have some questions.
Council, any questions? Officer, have you got a second? Sure. Council might have a couple questions for you.
I do not. It was just at some point I'd like to make some points to the commission as to the Dubliners.
Absolutely.
View of
Okay.
this, but I have no
Okay.
specific questions
Okay.
myself.
Thank you.
Any other officers on this incident?
No, not on the 8th, no.
Council, if you want to address some issues, fine. And if you have anyone to present, then.
Oh, we're gonna do the ninth?
Just as to this first incident,
Hold on a
it's,
minute.
Just to save you time and going through two closings, why don't we do the incident on the 9th as well?
Okay.
Then you can make the points as to both of them.
Yes. Officer Pepper Constantino?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Officer Charles Pepper Constantino with the Lowell Police Department. I've been employed with the Lowell Police Department for approximately 2 years now. On the night in question, December 9, 2006, I was actually working an overtime shift after my regular shift, which ends at 12:30. As I was working this overtime shift, we were concentrating in the downtown area for unruly bar patrons, etc. Myself and Lieutenant Golna from the Lowell Police Department were dispatched, along with numerous other officers, to the Dubliner for a large fight outside. Upon our arrival, we observed numerous patrons on the city sidewalk. I also observed one of the large windows in front of the Dubliner to be smashed, with a young gentleman standing out front in front of that window, staggering around. I then approached him. He was standing next to one of the Dubliner employees, a gentleman who is identified as a Keith Harmon. Mr. Harmon explained that there had been a fight inside prior to our arrival. The parties had since left. This gentleman who was standing out front, extremely intoxicated, he was actually staggering around. He could barely stand up on his own. It was explained to me by Mr. Harmon that this gentleman had just broken the window. What happened was he had started a fight inside, or he was involved in an altercation inside the bar. As he was leaving, he pulled his shirt down over his hand and then punched the window. Excuse me. After questioning the defendant, he stated that there was a fight inside. He was leaving, and out of anger, he smashed the window. He did admit to being intoxicated. At this point, numerous patrons were exiting the bar. They were coming onto the sidewalk. All appeared to be extremely intoxicated. As I was questioning the defendant, numerous patrons began to gather around myself. Became unruly. They were asking me questions. They refused to step back. At that point, I decided it would be in our best interest to go inside the Dubliner, where all the people were coming out, we could go inside. As I entered the inside of the establishment, I noticed it to be in total disarray. Broken bottles all over the floors, chairs moved around, liquid on the floor, I'm presuming beer from the broken bottles. Once inside, it was brought to my attention that there was another young man in the bathroom who was also involved in an altercation that may have a broken nose. I then made my way to the men's room, encountered this individual. He was bleeding from the nose. He stated that he had been sucker punched and he thought his nose was broken. At that point, the decision was made to call Trinity Ambulance and have them come check him out. When I asked him what the fight was about, he stated something to the extent of, and I don't have it listed in my report, I'm going right off my memory on this one. It was some gentleman from Barica, a large group from Barica, Mass. was at the bar and they had started a fight with these individuals. I don't really remember what exactly it was over. After that, we got him treated by Trinity. The defendant was then placed under arrest for malicious destruction of property for smashing the window. And Captain Kennedy and Lieutenant Goldner made the decision that the establishment should be closed for the evening due to this incident.
And what type of response did you get from the manager at the Dubliner when you decided to do that?
He was compliant.
Okay.
He was compliant.
The original call officer, where'd that come from?
I'm not sure, sir. We were just dispatched through our dispatch system, but who made the original call to the police station, I'm not sure.
So you got there at what time? A little after 1?
On my report, it's listed as the call coming at 01:15, so 1:15 in the morning.
1:15, okay. Counsel, do you have any questions for him? Okay.
All right.
We probably should ask the neighbors.
Yeah, anybody else?
Thank you, officer.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in terms of this hearing?
Stephen Green, residing at 181 Market Street, which is the building next door to the Dubliner. This is the first, well, we heard about this incident somewhat through the Neighborhood Association, but I just want to encourage the Licensing Commission to take whatever strong measures they need to make the liquor establishments feel the pain that they're causing to the neighborhood. I mean, they make money by serving alcohol, but we end up picking up the disruption, the noise, the vandalism that takes place. So I don't know what the guidelines are here. I promise you I will get more involved and work with you, but I wanted to let you know that at least you have one citizen, voter, resident who is encouraging you to take a strong, hard line on this incident.
I'm sorry, go ahead and finish. I'm sorry. How often do you see vandalism?
It's regular. Sometimes it's petty vandalism where the beauty salon that's in part of our building has the trees knocked over. The proprietor of all of that and more has had its little flower pots that they put out in the summertime and pushed down into the street, slants pulled out. We've had dumpsters turned over. I've heard people complaining on Middle Street that people run across along on cars. Lots of problems. The Revolving Museum has reported a lot of vandalism of some of their outdoor art. So it's been a problem, and it's always associated with heavy drinking on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. It's clockwork.
And what's the noise
The
issue?
the noise is very loud and disruptive from about 1:30 on, especially at closing hours. People come up the back alley between Market Street and Middle Street. There have been times that there have been fights. It is more of a problem in the summertime when windows are open, but again, most of those units are in Market Gallery are air conditioned. So when people can still hear the noise with the air conditioning on, it is a problem. There is also a lot of noise with vehicles, both blasting their radios, making a lot of noise peeling out when they're leaving at closing hours, motorcycle noise. So, I appreciate that we are living in a city, but this is not a zoo. And that we should not be allowing people to get intoxicated and then causing disruptions, because that's both we're going to hold you accountable for their illegal action, but, I mean, people should not be driving drunk. The report that I heard from the neighborhood association on the combined police, state police operation, there are a lot of traffic citations made. So whatever we do, I mean, whatever you do, getting involved in this sort of late in the game, I just want to let you know that as one neighbor, and I think there are probably others who would agree with me, that take the strong measures, make people accountable.
Where, in your opinion, does the problem come from?
The problem comes with excessive drinking.
But I mean, is it all the establishments downtown?
Let's just say between the place that got most of our attention initially was the Blue Shamrock. And then we had noise problems further down with Sangria's. And the neighbors have complained about problems with the Rumba Club on East Merrimack, on Merrimack Street. Things have been getting a little rowdier with the Dubliner in the last year. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Counsel? Anybody else on the second incident? Hold up.
I don't want to repeat all that Stephen said, but I'm a resident of the same building, 181 Market Street. My name is Frank Toms. I want to concur with what he said. I want to concur also that the Dubliner under new ownership has become louder and louder to the point where we sometimes can't sleep from the back alley because the music is way, way too loud, even though our windows are closed and we have storm windows as well. And I would think that you would be appalled to have an establishment of our fair city having smashed bottles on the floor, as reported by the policeman just recently, and wanting to license an operation like that. I would think you would be interested in not having that happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Counsel?
Just briefly, gentlemen, a couple of points I'd like to raise. As to the first incident, Captain Taylor's correct. There was no call made from the Dubliner. Mr. Keys would tell you that it was his view that this was just a skirmish. This was not a fight, this was a skirmish. And what they did was diffuse the incident, and they separated the individuals. And as is their procedure, they required that they leave the premises. Now, they did not throw them up. What they did was Mr. Keys would tell you, and he was working in conjunction with the doorman that evening, and I think as the officer reports, what these two individuals did that evening was one group turned to the right, dispersed, one group turned to the left. The establishment's position at the time, perhaps open for judgment, but the establishment's position at the time was there was no need to contact the police because there was no incident of that nature. As to the second night, clearly there was an incident. And in fact, Mr. Keys was the one who immediately contacted the Lowell Police Department. I do not know the specifics of that incident, but I would point out that the only arrest had nothing to do with intoxication. There was no, as I'm aware of, no public or custody for one's individual's inebriation. The individual that was arrested, and it wasn't even actually an assault and battery, the only individual that was arrested had to do with this wanton destruction of property. What Mr. Keys will tell you is that the bartender, again, it erupted, removed the individual. That individual, I would suggest to the board, was upset for being removed. And then he took actions to destroy properties of the Dubliners. Putting the incident aside, I'm not here to justify or explain. They know the serious nature and they know the potential of the escalation of these types of incidents. What they have done, even before we got notice to the board, was they immediately held a meeting with all of their employees and instructed them to be ever vigilant of the issue with the over-serving and the potential over-serving. What they also did was hire a second doorman for the sole purpose of attempting to permit these eruptions. So now the way it's situated is there's at least one doorman and there's another individual, i.e. security force, circulating amongst the premises. Also what they've done, voluntarily, they've moved their last call from 1:30 to 1:15. And I think most importantly, in fact, starting tonight, is they've hired a detail officer. And so the detail officer is going to work on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings. And what they're hoping is that the actual visual, the vision that the individual sees, seeing a detail officer entering the establishment, their conduct, hopefully with the assistance of the establishment, will be corrected and or modified as necessary. I'd also like to point out to the board that my understanding is that they've been running the operation for 18 months. There has been no incidents, no prior incidents. Mr. Economo, I understand, has been in the liquor industry with various prior establishments that he's owned and a liquor store that he owns in the city, and he also, as I understand it, has a clean record in all of those establishments. So you've got an individual who goes back approximately 20 years, and to my knowledge, this is the first time he's been before this board on an enforcement action.
Tell me, counsel, if you know, or if your client wants to tell us, how you're going to address the music issue and the fact that it's too loud. This is something I've heard for the past, I don't know, 6 or 10 months anyway, not by way of direct complaints, but more indirectly.
Go ahead. Mr. Economo.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Well, what we have, all we have is a jukebox there. And on one night a week, on Saturday nights, we have 2 acoustic guitar players. But it's just a jukebox. But sometimes they forget and leave the door open is what it is. So, and I always remind them to keep both doors closed. But once the door's open, or if it's, you know, it's not that hot, not that cold, and I leave it open, then you hear it outside. The music
So there's
goes
no
on.
electric music other than
No, we don't have it, no. We have 2 acoustic guitar players on Saturday night, and the rest is just a jukebox.
Yeah. Well,
But, you know, before we bought the place, there wasn't anybody in there for 2-3 years. When we bought it, she was almost bankrupt, and there was 5 people on a Friday night, so you would never hear of people.
Yeah.
Because I went in there for 2 years
Yeah.
negotiating on it, there was no one in there. And now you got 70, 80 people leaving at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're gonna hear their voices. There's no getting around it. And they go out to have a cigarette now because you can't smoke inside. If you got 10 people smoking, talking. So now we're having them just stand in front of the windows. Before, they would wander a little bit off to the right or the left. And I was talking to Bob Demore, Captain Demore. I had a meeting with him, and he suggested to keep them right in front of the windows, and if they move from there, tell them they can't come back in. And they can't go smoking after 1 o'clock, and all these different ideas. And I said, we're definitely going to do it.
You said the closing hours, the last drink was going to be 1:15,
Last call.
last call?
Yeah, instead of like 1:30 or something.
As I understand it.
But everybody's always out, I'm sorry, by 10 of 2. We always
Yeah.
have them out before 2 o'clock.
As I understand it, Mr. Geary, in connection with the last call, they also shut down the jukebox at that time. So any music that assumably would be coming from it would also be shut down simultaneously
With the last call.
was instituted.
I mean, it's obviously a problem. It must be the jukebox. It certainly couldn't be the 2 acoustic guitars. Sir?
Acoustic guitars are amplified. They're not just guitars playing. There's speakers and they make.
Yeah, they have speakers, yeah,
There's
you wouldn't hear
speakers.
them.
And is that what you
They're
think?
not electric, but they're amplified and they get very loud, sometimes with the drummer too.
We've never had a drummer in 18 months.
That's okay. You know what?
We've never had
Let's not go back and forth between the
But
two
the
of you.
amplification is definitely there.
I mean,
Is that what you think you hear? The guitars?
And or the jukebox, either one can be real loud.
Yeah, yeah.
It just sounds like a blur, just all that noise.
yeah, I mean, the issue is, and it's always been the issue, is we're fitting a residential element into a commercial element, and it's gonna have growing pains, and it's gonna have a lot of growing pains, and that's what we're experiencing right now. So, I mean, you gotta take steps on both ends to accommodate one another, so that's all I could say on it, you know? What we have in front of us now, we're just gonna continue to listen to, and then make a decision on as to where we wanna go. So, anything else, counsel?
I have nothing further, Mr. Geary.
Commissioner Finnegan?
Nothing else, I don't think.
The only thing I'll mention again is just that the new acting chief, LaValle, he's really has taken the problems in the downtown neighborhood. He's really determined to address them. Cooperation with the state police. We're going to put more patrols down there on the early morning hours on a weekend by weekend basis. The only thing I'd recommend, my personal opinion would be that both of these incidents happened around 1 a.m. And so one potential option here is a rollback in the hours to midnight for this establishment for a period of time to try and get the bad element that seems to have attracted to this location out of there. That would be one suggestion that we could potentially work with. And then we'll, potentially we will continue to watch them.
Respecting Captain Taylor, it seems to me to be a fairly drastic request to move it back to 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. It changes the entire ability of this bar to survive financially. Again, I would suggest as opposed to taking this action, that we give the Dubliner the ability to prove its ability to correct whatever issues may be out there. And again, as I've suggested, they've taken the immediate actions. They've requested a detail, and at this point, they've been assured to provide a detail in there. They've hired a second bartender. And if in fact additional issues arise, I would suggest that the remedy would be to be back in front of this board.
You know, one of the things that I think people don't understand about this board and what the License Commission can do is looking at what we can do in terms of punishment. And we're governed by the ABCC, and the ABCC sets down certain guidelines in terms of how we can punish establishments if we find violations. The ABCC's position has been that, you know, on a first violation or a second violation that's somewhat minor in nature, that, you know, nothing drastic should happen to the establishment. Nothing should be done to be taking money away from them. Rolling back hours on something like that really isn't appropriate in their mind. My mind might be different, but in their mind, that's the way they feel. And we've seen cases, not from Lowell, but from other towns, and you can actually go on the ABCC website and see this, where they actually publish what the punishments are for establishments that are brought in before them. And you'll find that the punishments are pretty minimal, especially the first couple of times. The idea is that these are businesses, they're trying to make a go at it, trying to make a living, and that's the way it should be. And unless it's something more serious, that there should be a punishment that's more minimal in nature. It doesn't seem fair, but it's the law, and it's the requirement we have from the ABCC. In addition, just one more second.
No, sorry.
In addition to that, the complaints that are brought here today, the first one is failure to notify the police department. And council fully acknowledges that, you know, they didn't notify. That's something that happens unfortunately all the time. And I think establishments have to come to understand that they are required to do that. And if, you know, it happens again, the consequences are going to be serious. But a failure to notify is very important to the police department. You know, they have to know this so they can respond and get there before the window's broken, before the guy gets a broken nose. So with that in mind, I'll withhold my motion, but that's my feeling on it.
Just in following up on what the commissioner had said, I think the ABCC has the way of looking at how they want to establish things, and we're on those directives all the time. We see those opinions come down all the time. Some of us have read them in the paper. I don't always necessarily agree with it, but in terms of my theory on that is that it's not a bad idea in terms of eventually it's going to weed out a bad owner, because if he continues to prove that he can't fully control his establishment, he's not going to be there long. And we've shut down many of businesses on that. And we've got a couple of opinions that the board has said you went overboard on it. But be that as it may, I don't think it's a bad situation in terms of this gentleman here. He's been in the city of Lowell establishing liquor establishments for 20 years, and he's never been in front of this board. Never. It's a pretty solid record. It's a pretty guy that has a commitment to his business. He understands the importance of this license here. That's his bread and butter. That's what he feeds his kids with, the license we give him. So he's got to understand that protection. And I think he does. If I didn't think he did, I wouldn't be in a position to say that. I wouldn't be in a position to say, listen, my attitude about this is we're going to put both the record, both the complaints on the file. And again, with the recommendations that council has made, that the last call will be at 1:15, that there be a second doorman in the premises, and I think a very important element is the police detail. I think a police present quiets a lot of people down. I think a police present, especially when people are leaving, quiets them down, and people realize that, you know, I'm not going to walk out of the doors as, you know, pardon my French, as a jackass here, you know. People don't, a lot of people going into that establishment don't realize there are people up above them. They just don't. They just don't realize that there are people living up above them. Maybe even some signage to the effect that, you know, be courteous, however you want to put it in there, that there are residents above there, you know? And again, we've got a bigger picture that we're going to have to all deal with. The city, the residents, the bar owners, all the other establishments downtown, that we've got to deal with the growing pains they're going to establish. There's an awful lot of units down there, and I like it, you know? I like that situation. I like the fact that people are coming in and living in the city. But you got to realize, too, that you're living in a city. And you're right, it shouldn't be a zoo, 100% behind you. And I think that the owners got to understand that. And I have pretty confidence in this gentleman here that he does understand that a little bit, because he's not new to the business, you know? And it's a tough business. It's a tough racket to be in. I'd never do it in a million years. I wouldn't give you how much money you paid me. I'd never, ever do it. And so for me, I'm going to make a motion to put the complaints. Counsel?
Well, excuse me, I just wanted to call to the Commission's attention and to that of the audience that there is a requirement that if the Commission sought to roll back hours, that a 2-week notice is required in advance of any such action. So I just wanted, and I looked at the notice, it's not in the notice.
So it would have had to be for 2 weeks ago for today's hearing. That's okay, I don't think that's an issue.
I wasn't looking in terms of that, doing that at this
I
point.
just wanted you to be
you.
aware of
Yeah.
that requirement.
Again, I was looking to putting the complaints on the record and moving from there, and understanding that they're going to take some steps to alleviate any potential problems and try to make everybody's life a little easier.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to second the motion. I think maybe the punishment should be a little bit more severe, but certainly I'll second Commissioner Geary's motion with the idea that it is the first time they've been in here in 20 years. But it's really incumbent upon your clients, Mr. Hardigan, to square this away, not the condo owners.
Yeah.
It's not up to them. And, you know, they're always welcome to come in and tell us what they feel or send us a letter or whatever they have to do. But it's not incumbent upon them to do anything. You know, it's really incumbent upon your clients to square the situation away.
I will continue that discussion with them.
Okay, thank you. I second your motion, Mr. Geary.
All those in favor? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to underscore what the Assistant City Solicitor had just stated, statute, in terms of rollback of hours, specifically states that a notice of hearing to that effect, to decrease hours, would be at least 14 days to advance notice. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the 2 weeks ago. All right, all right.
Next on the agenda. Who's that?
Kamara. Commission will now open the hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Kenneth LaValle, the acting superintendent of police, against Kamara Restaurant Inc., Vincent Noon, manager, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 308 310 Westford Street.
Counsel?
Are you
This one?
representing them?
We're the, I believe, the next item on the
Okay. Okay.
It appears to me, Mr. Chairman, that the Kamara Restaurant has
Failed to show.
failed to show. The letter of notice is dated January the 19th. The letter had been received by the business, even though there may not have been an ample proper notice or send a date of notice, could have been maybe a lengthier period of time, but there's been no contact from that business.
Anything going on down there,
You know what, potentially we can short-circuit this and do it quick. This involves just a case of over-serving of intoxication. Officer Bowman is here. If necessary, he can read his report. But essentially, Officer Bowman happened to be there on the night of December 31st, around 12:15 a.m. He observed an individual in there who was highly intoxicated to the point he had to seek medical attention. We thought we should bring it to your attention. I have spoken with my predecessor, Sergeant Trudell. He informs me that this particular establishment has been responsive and responsive.
Except for today.
Yeah. In the past, so potentially this could be dealt with as a notification.
I don't know what to do on it, it doesn't seem to be.
Continue it for the next meeting. Give him the second chance to come back.
You want to do that?
I'll continue for the next meeting, send him a letter. He'll come back in 2 weeks. If he doesn't, obviously his license is subject to suspension, revocation, whatever the board decides.
Is it possible that you could, if you wish, to take the testimony of Officer Bowman today?
We can't, he really has to be here.
He should be here.
He could contest the whole thing, so it'd be nice to do it, but
Okay.
thanks.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Mike, you got the next one? Are you on the next case? Okay, I'm gonna recuse myself out of this one also.
I'm not going to get you 4 weeks' pay this week.
I'll tell you, there's a little musical chairs here.
Next on the agenda.
Commission will now take up the matter of open the hearing on the matter of the allegation of misconduct as charged by Kenneth LaValle, the acting superintendent of police, against the Palin Restaurant, Inc., doing business as Palin Restaurant. Racy Ann is the manager of record. All alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 6-8 Branch Street.
Counsel, identify yourself and your clients for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Geary and Mr. Finnegan. My name is Attorney Michael Zame, and I'm from the law offices of Stephen J. Mason, and I'm here with representing the Palin Restaurant today. To my right, I have Mr. Racy Ann, who is the manager of record of the Palin Restaurant. With him, next to him is Mr. Bunrath, who is one of the board members of the corporation. To his right is again Mr. Ramani Ann, who is also on the board, the corporate board of the Palin Restaurant.
Have you seen the complaint that was sent along to your clients?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, we received letters. Actually, there were 2 letters, 2 incidents that were the subject matter of today's hearing. 2 incidents, one on December 31st, 2006, and the second incident, a January 14th, 2007 incident.
Actually, without any making an admission, so what is in those letters? Will you just waive the formal reading of the complaint into the record?
Yes, we will on both incidents.
Let me start with the police at this point and see what we have and go from there.
Yes, thank you. The first incident was on December 31st, and it involved a large fight. The officers that responded there found several patrons fighting. Several people were arrested as a result. In the officer's opinion, several of the people had been drinking heavily at the location. I believe on this particular one, at least one individual was arrested for assaulting a police officer. So again,
is this the 12th, the New Year's night?
Yes, it is.
Incident? Okay.
That's essentially the first incident. The other additional thing is we had to send most of the resources of the Lowell Police Department to that location for approximately an hour to clear it out, and that obviously left the rest of the city with minimal or no coverage. The second incident occurred, similar type of incident, although not as severe, on January 14th at 12:05 a.m. Involved a large fight with people leaving in the parking lot. One individual in this fight was arrested for assault and battery on a police officer also, and he was noted by the officer that arrested him to be highly intoxicated leaving the establishment. I can report to the commission that I did speak to my predecessor, Sergeant Trudell, and he indicated that this particular location had been responsive in the past to working with the police department to curtail some of the activity. So I think that is a positive, interaction for the
And
restaurant.
any officers here today?
No, there were not.
No officers. Counsel, anything?
Yes, if I may begin, just to, for the record.
Sure.
Captain Taylor just indicated that there were 2 arrests involving assault and battery on a police officer, and I just believe it may be, there was only 1 arrest involving assault and battery on a police officer, and it was the second incident. There was no assault and battery charges arising out of the first incident.
Okay.
The Palin restaurant appears before this commission today with a full appreciation and a gravity, understanding the gravity of the hearing and the issues presented by the allegations. We, on behalf of the Palin restaurant, they apologize to the city and are very thankful that none of the police officers who responded to either one of these incidents were hurt. Between the dates of the incidents, one being the 31st of December, the second being January 14th, and up until the point of the time of notice, which was January 19th of 07, was when the notices were sent out and subsequently received by my clients. They've already taken a number of steps to remedy the situation, to take corrective steps so that these things do not happen again. Before I go into addressing those measures that they've taken, and having confirmed this fact with your Executive Secretary, Mr. Wynn, this establishment and this license holder has not been before this commission for any other violations of the licenses they hold that have been issued by this board. As Captain Taylor mentioned, they are a cooperative that he received from his predecessor, and I was unable to contact Captain DeMora with some of the things that they're looking to continue to work with the police department on, which we will subsequently address after this hearing. When in reviewing all of the officers' reports for our purposes here today, we're taking the officers at their word as to what they saw and what they observed and what they wrote down. We're not offering any excuses as to what happened. We're going to try to give some explanation as to the Palin's Restaurant's side of the story. With respect to one of the allegations contained in the complaint about not notifying the Lowell Police Department of a disturbance upon their premises, at the moment the license holder became aware that there was a problem on the first December 31st, 2006 incident. He was standing with Rithy Young, who is a well-known and well-respected member in the South Asian community. The license holder directed Mr. Young to call the police. Rithy Young did call the police on his cell phone. At that same time, Mr. Ramani, who was to the furthest, also placed a call on his cell phone to the Lowell Police Department reporting a problem. Both of these calls were done by cell phones. In fact, there was no call from a landline or a hard line that would come back and show up on the Lowell Police Dispatch or their communication system to show that the call was actually coming from the landline or the phone line that's the actual of the business itself. The license holders knew, and they're very well aware of their responsibility, and they knew that they called. You'll see a subsequent report that was written 5 days after the incident by Officer Peasley, one of the initial reporting officers in this matter, who did indicate that there were a number of calls that did come from cell phones reporting this incident. And we know that at least 2 of those were from or at the direction of the license holders in this matter. Since that time, again, they're well aware of their obligation. They've taken steps to make sure and to reiterate this policy with all of their employees, that when there is any sign of anything that looks awry, that they are to notify the Lowell Police Department. The Palin Restaurant consistently hires private detail officers to assist in maintaining order in their establishment. This being New Year's Eve, the first incident, they had actually requested 2 detail officers because of the crowd that they were anticipating. Unfortunately, the Lowell Police Department was not able to supply them with detail officers for that night. They had made plans, knowing that the size of the crowd that they were expecting, They had made plans, and they did have extra staff on hand, anticipating that they would also have the 2 police details that, unfortunately, they didn't know they weren't showing up until the time that the police detail was set to begin, and the function had already begun. What they've done is to deal with that issue. What they've done is they've set up some additional staff that they can get a hold of if necessary on short notice, that in the event a detail didn't arrive, that they would be able to get a hold of somebody rather quickly to say, we need you, come on down, and they have a number of people readily available to add additional staff and security to the facility. To address the concerns regarding the gentleman by the name of Rathana Ven, who was arrested, he was under the legal drinking age, and was arrested that night for disorderly conduct. Nowhere in the reports, in the initial reports, I should say, that were all drafted on December 31st or in the very early morning hours of January 1st, 2007, is there any evidence that Mr. Van was either served, delivered, or provided alcohol by this establishment? Presently, for your information, the bartenders of the Palin restaurant, they're all tip certified, and they plan on continuing to carry on that practice in the future. Mr. Van was certainly on the premises. He was located in a fight by the Lowell Police Department and subsequently arrested, and they've taken a number of steps to now deal with the service of alcohol to their patrons. Specifically, they've implemented a policy where one person, one drink, versus I believe that the law would allow one person to come up to the bar and get 2 drinks. They've now said the policy is one person, one drink. They will not allow that second person, the first person, to take away 2 drinks. In a better way to monitor and how they control the delivery and the sale of alcohol in the premises. They do cater to events that there will be people who are under the age of 21 in the facility. They've made their staff and their bartenders aware that there may be times when somebody does go to the bar and takes a drink and passes it to someone who may not be of age. They're vigilant of that, and they've implemented a wristband system. A wristband system not only identifying people who are over 21, but people who are under 21 as well. And they're instructed, their wait staff is instructed to view those things. They are checking identification at the door to implement that program. And again, they've been alerted to the possibility that there may be some switching of wristbands to guard against that. One of the things that was addressed in the police report that was of great concern to my clients is the officer's observations that he recognized, or upon their being on the premises, they recognized gang symbols or people wearing gang colors or displaying some type of emblem that they belong to gangs. In order to address that, what they've done is they've implemented a very strict dress code. And again, the outwardly signs that my clients were aware of is the display of a bandana somewhere on the person's body, either tied around their arm or to their leg, which indicated some type of gang symbol. They've implemented a dress code where that is not allowed. If they not only do they watch for this at the door, but they also continue to monitor throughout the evening to make sure that after someone has entered the facility, that they don't in turn put the bandana on. They're also asking, and this is, as I mentioned earlier, I had made several calls to Captain DeMora, who is not in this week. They are looking for the Lowell Police Department's assistance in this, and we'll be asking them to conduct a seminar for them to help them identify and help them be able to identify some of the not so obvious things that may be able to alert them to this means this symbol means that, you know, there's gang activity or there's something that might be going awry that the layperson may not be aware of. And we look forward to working with the Lowell Police Department for some assistance in those matters. With respect to the January 14th incident, there were in fact 2 police officers on detail at the facility the night in question. None of the reports indicate that they observed anything during the course of their evening prior to the closing of the facility that warranted their intervention or warranted them telling their attention wasn't drawn to any specific individuals. There is evidence, though, however, that what had the gentleman who wound up getting arrested and actually turning and striking a police officer, what had him so upset, there is evidence that somebody made some sort of inappropriate or whether it was a comment or a physical gesture to his wife. And that set him off, and he was uncontrollable not only by his wife, but his friends, and the police officers were at the scene giving him orders to, you know, to calm down and stop his tirade. So again, I would say that they're well aware of it. They're willing to listen to whatever this commission would like them to do, and also work with the police department to make sure that they continue to run, as it has been, a very safe and secure place and a place for the people of the Southeast Asian community to call their own and to enjoy here in the city.
Thank you, Counsel. Commissioner, anything?
Yeah, please. Excuse me. Counsel, can you tell me a little bit about the planned 21 nights under over?
Again, they don't have any planned under 21 events. They are a function hall, so for instance, they may have a wedding where there are people who are guests of the wedding. It's essentially a function hall that holds up to 370 people, which I failed to mention that they are doing, as they check people in, they are doing the counting to make sure that they don't, encroach upon that capacity, to have a very good number count control.
That's a lot of people, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And again, when the police officer went up there, they did see a lot of people. The place does hold a lot of people. Again, they are using those steps. So there aren't any specific where they advertise or they say we're having a solely or strictly an under 21 time. What they do have is there are certain functions that are family-oriented, weddings, birthday parties, things of that nature, where you may have that mix. And that's why they're implementing the two-band system where everyone's going to have a band on. One will be red, one will be white, one will be whatever the case may be.
A couple of things about that. One is, the two-band system, and you talked earlier about the fact that people may try and switch bands. I want your clients to understand that that's their responsibility. If people switch bands and then the police go in and they find that there's underage people with the wrong color band on getting drinks, they're going to be before us and we're going to punish them, because it's not up to us to determine whether somebody switched bands or not. It's up to them. It's kind of a dangerous system, and it really can cause some problems, but that's their choice to make. With respect to the under 25 to under 21 nights, I just want to caution your clients that they cannot have a night where they require girls to be 18 and the guys to be 21 to get in. And there's been some clubs in Lowell that have done that and discriminated on the basis of age, trying to get a better crowd, having the 18-year-olds get in for, the 18-year-old girls get in for nothing, and the 21-year-old guys having to pay $10 to get in. So I just want to caution them that they can't do that. That's discrimination. It would be a violation of the law under Massachusetts law. With respect to what they do in terms of carding people, that bothers me. The fact that somebody under 20 was drinking. And when I read the report, I felt the same way you did. Nobody says that they were served by your establishment. They could have been served somewhere else. But they had to be served somewhere. And, that's to me, that's kind of my pet peeve, especially right now, is underage drinking in some of the liquor stores and some of the bars that are serving kids that are under 21. And, you know, if in fact we could show that that happened here, I'd feel very differently about the punishment. And I'd be looking at a suspension. But we don't have it here. I agree with you. It's not in the report that happened. Captain, can you tell us anything more about that? It just talks about the fact that there was a 21-year-old who appeared to be intoxicated.
Right, no, I don't have any more information
Okay,
than
that's what I thought.
what is contained.
Okay, thank you.
A couple of things, and this is just in terms of a recommendation, Counsel. I would, if I owned an establishment, I'd run away from ever having an under 21 event. Fraught with danger. Can't tell them not to do it, but it's fraught with danger. It's just a situation that just gives rise to problems. So, I mean, you can take that for what it's worth, but that's, you know, that's the way I would look at it. Secondly, in terms of the details, City of Lowell's not always going to be able to fill those spots. So I think you're correct in assuming that they probably would not be able to fill it and have alternative plans, because it is their responsibility. It's their responsibility to maintain the security there and not rely on the Lowell Police Department, because they can't always fill the spots. Right. It's impossible. So, I mean, that's in terms of what I see in the record that's before me. How long have they been in business up there?
They've been in business just a little bit over a year at that location.
And this was this a place that was built out? Was it?
It's actually like the Palin Plaza. It's part of as you're going just past the Boys Club and right to the left there.
Okay, it's a big building.
It's a big building with a long function.
They just opened. He came back a couple of times.
He spent a long time going through that, building that place, right? Yeah, it's been a long time. You can lose it quick. You got to understand that. You guys, you were working on that place for forever. Forever. I mean, like I said, it's a license. It's more important than any nail or any piece of wood you have in that building, so you got to protect it. Again, I'm looking at the situation that, you know, Sergeant Trudell has worked with these people before. There hasn't been any issues. There isn't a track record. You got to understand that I'm going to make a motion to put them on file. You got to do what you said you do in terms of, you know, watching the over-serving, watching the age requirements. I'd stay away from the 21 and under any circumstances, and that's the motion I'd make, is to put the matters on record.
I agree with that recommendation. I'll second the motion.
All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Counsel.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Just put the letter in. Put the letter in.
Place it on file. Just place the letter on file. Both complainants. Are these? Counsel, if he was sitting there, he wouldn't like to talk to him. He wouldn't. 2 minutes.
You're still on the record?
Yeah.
What? No. At the end of the show, I always say hi to Benjamin. See, you don't watch the show. Hi, Benjamin. Okay, who we got up next?
Oh, the
Boy, I thought you guys would never quit. Wow.
Let him talk, Wally. Let him talk.
Wow.
Chairman, John McLaughlin is now before you. He's from Wilmington. He's looking for a hawker and peddler license to sell fruits and vegetables. He presently holds a state license issued by the Division. Mr. McLaughlin is before you now, Mr. Chairman. He's from Wilmington. He presently has a state license from the Division of Standards. He's looking to get a city license for just hawker and peddler for fruits and vegetables.
Okay. Introduce yourself for the record.
John McLaughlin, Wilmington.
Okay, John. How have you done this before?
Yes, I have. I've worked with a person in Woburn that does that.
But you've never done it in Lowell?
No, I haven't done it in Lowell.
Never done it in Lowell, okay. Where are you going to set up?
My points of interest would be up around the boulevard in that area. There's a spot before Varnum Street. It looks like an open lot. I don't know who owns that, if that's owned by anyone. Those are possible locations. Other than that, I don't know any other spots.
And what will you be selling?
Fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables.
I don't know, I
Where you gonna
prefer
get
to
the-
have
where you-
knowledge of where you were gonna,
Where are you gonna get the
You
fruits and
can't
vegetables?
trespass on people's land without
Yeah.
their permission.
you know, I'm not against you getting the license, and I don't want to sound like him, but I'd like an idea of where you're gonna be, and I think that, you know, you're gonna be on private property, I think that we should require some kind of a letter from the people saying, you know, that it's okay for you to sit there. Is that reasonable?
Well, Mr. Chairman, good luck to Mr. McLaughlin if he wishes to sell fruits and vegetables this afternoon or anytime in the near future. But typically, this is a activity that will take place in the summertime into the early fall.
Right.
The fact that he's applying for the license and has a state license is that he would be going to a wholesaler, possibly some distribution point in Boston or thereabouts, buy his product, and then
And then bring it to Lowell.
bring it to Lowell with the
I
hope
know.
of finding a suitable location that won't won't be an issue of public safety.
But it would to me. I'd like an idea of where he wants to set up, and I think that if he sets up on city property, there's got to be some liability issue there. I don't know, and if he sets up on private property, we certainly would want a letter or something from the people that, no?
Well, I mean, he's got no right to do that unless he gets the letter, so.
Yeah.
I don't know, we're kind of maybe putting the cart before the horse to say he has to get the letter. He's gonna, wherever he goes, he's gonna have to get somebody's permission to do it. That's really his concern. If the private property owner wants to, you know, bring an action against him because he's not supposed to be there, that's up to him. But my only concern is that he doesn't move next door to somebody else who's a hawker and
That's
peddler.
what
You know.
and I guess I'm not trying to be mean or, you did this in Woburn?
Woburn, we do it at the church.
Living in Wilmington?
Yes.
And you're gonna do it in Lowell. Why are you coming to Lowell? Why aren't you selling vegetables in Wilmington? I guess that's the
That's
better
another
question.
possibility I was gonna do like a couple times a week. I thought my state license allowed me to do that, but apparently it doesn't. Same place all the time, you flood the market. But that was just my option. Yeah, I could go elsewhere, it doesn't matter to me, it's just I just tried doing this right here.
Well, just
We do it on public ways right now. And if I have to go elsewhere, I'll just, go to the least resistance or what have you.
Well, just, Mr. McLaughlin, just for one point I just want to make to the commission is that as a licensee,
Yeah.
the state license, I should say, he can go to any city and town in Massachusetts. However, there are some communities in the Commonwealth, Lowell is one of those, who has an ordinance that requires a local license as well. And the local ordinance requires anyone who is a hawker and peddler solely for fruits and vegetables and for fish. Now, those are two separate permits. The thing with a number of hawker and peddlers that have the state license may come into the city unbeknownst to the License Commission, who are not selling fruits or vegetables or fish, but maybe selling T-shirts or some type of non-food item, or even hot dogs for that matter, don't require a local permit from the License Commission, may have to address the issues to do with the health department as far as the food containers they may have as far as like hot dogs or sausage, anything of that nature being prepared in the open air. But with Mr. McLaughlin, as he came into the office, I think he was just anticipating that there might be a suitable location maybe off to the side of the road that is not really private property. Certainly would be state property if it's near the boulevard, but somewhere that may not interfere with motor vehicle traffic, but might be conducive to allowing somebody to stop on the side of the road to stop in and see what he's offering. Whether he would do this at this time of year or wait till when weather improves is another matter.
Ready for a motion?
Yeah,
I make a motion that we approve the license, subject only to the condition that you don't set up within 1,000 feet of somebody else who already has a similar license.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you,
You're
good
all
luck.
set.
Good luck.
Okay, thank you very much.
All righty.
Mr. McLaughlin, if you'd like to come by the office, either if not tomorrow, certainly the beginning of next week.
Okay, thank you
And the
very
fee
much.
will be $62 to the city of Lowell.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we have a number of complaints from the Lowell Police Department, specifically Kenneth LaValle, the acting superintendent, has submitted a number of letters. Recently, there was the Lowell Police Department in cooperation with in conjunction with the Lowell, I should say the state police, conducted a sting operation affecting a number of the package store licensees in the city of Lowell. 6 of the package store licensees allegedly did not ask for the person who appeared before them at the register of identification, and all of whom, of the 6, there is the Atlantic Liquor package store at 424 Chelmsford Street, XL package store at 613 Merrimack Street, Ornelas Enterprise package store at 1012 Gorham Street, Belvedere Wine at 36 Concord Street, Lowell Liquors at 638 Rogers Street, and the liquor shop at 1215 Bridge Street. So all of them were approached in the identical manner. The minor who appeared before them was under the supervision of a Lowell police officer, police officers, and probably state police as well, with specific instructions on how to approach the store clerks in these respective businesses. So the complaint is such that all 6 are being cited in the same letter, in that manner of the allegation.
Make a motion to bring them in.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman, just for purposes of this matter coming before you at a hearing, the next scheduled meeting is for February 8th, and then the board will meet again on February the 22nd. Would you prefer that they all appear before you sooner than?
I'd like to split them up. I don't want to have so many hearings on one day.
Yeah, we got other hearings too. After that.
The thing is, the question is, what would be the proper, this is quite honestly, in my experience, as far as these type of issues, nothing of this nature has come before the licensing board as to how to address it, whether you would address them all at once, or each and every one has to give.
You're talking about the liquor.
This package store, how each would each and every one be given an opportunity to speak?
You got to. You have no choice. You got to let them speak, right? You can't try them as a group.
That's right, each and every one of them are entitled to be heard.
Yeah. So get them in there.
Okay.
6 of them, they're all exactly, this is going to be a brain trust.
So February 8th?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, there is a complaint against the licensee, a separate complaint, independent of what we just talked about, Doramar LLC, doing business as Rumba's Nightclub, 72 Merrimack Street.
Bring them in, motion to bring them in. Send them a letter.
For February 8th?
I'd recommend we bring them in after that, because,
Well,
there's 6 hearings right there, and we do it as a volunteer board. I won't be here 6 hours in the afternoon. So I recommend it.
The next 3, including Durham, on the 24th or whatever it is.
Yeah.
22nd.
22nd.
So Doramar would be for, Rumba's Nightclub would be for February 22nd?
Yep.
And if the board would like, for purposes of this particular complaint, this is, I believe this will be the 4th complaint where the nightclub has come before you.
Yeah.
If you wish, I can make a noted in the notice of hearing too, that the decrease in hours is an option the licensing board will take under consideration. Okay. Now, there is 2 other complaints, and the language of each complaint pertains to the Hookslide Kelly's at 19 Merrimack Street and the Old Court at 29 Central Street. Their corporate names are Hookslide Kelly LLC and the old court is Camden Inc. The letter of complaint is identical. If not for the heading, one would think it was some typographical error. I'm not sure what the intent is of that, and whether the commission would want to address that with the captain.
You know, I have not read this letter, but I believe this incident it's a continuation of the same incident. I think there was a serious fight in the Page Street area where the bus stop used to be, and I believe that what the investigation revealed is that these people that were involved in the fight both ways were underage drinking at both establishments in the course of the evening. I believe that's the allegation. So.
Okay. Bring me on the 22nd.
Yeah, with this particular situation, one of these individuals was very seriously hurt.
So February 22nd, okay.
Okay.
And last but not least, in regards to complaints, the attorney representing Captain Johns, Rick Lalim, because of the timing and the notice of hearing, and also because of scheduling as far as his office is concerned, requested that the hearing be continued from today's date to February the 8th.
All right.
Okay. And you agree to that by way of conversation by telephone?
Yep.
Okay. Also, there is an application for public hearing for Thursday, February 8th. A legal notice will be published in the local newspaper. Red Rose Restaurant, which is located at 716 Middlesex Street, is applying for alteration of premises. The space currently involves 2 units. They're under a pending lease agreement to add a 3rd unit, which would allow the restaurant to expand its existing operation by way of increasing floor space for the kitchen, and also move a bar area to this new unit to allow for more dining and seating area for the restaurant itself. You have a copy of that application with your papers. So that would be scheduled for hearing on February 8th. Okay? And that's all I have to say.
Okay. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Motion made and, motion to adjourn, seconded, made and, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Hi, Benjamin. This, if it's still on, this will be replayed.